I'm going to say something that might make you uncomfortable. And if it does, that's how I know you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Because the women who are about to change their entire lives in the next 30 days are never the ones who feel comfortable at the beginning. They are the ones who feel seen, slightly exposed, and deeply curious. Because here's the truth no one ever taught us in school, or in relationships, or even in most self-love conversations. Your hormones are not just chemistry. They are powers. And when they are aligned, you don't chase. You don't convince. You don't explain. You don't beg. You don't overgive. You don't dim. You don't wait to be chosen. You become the prize so naturally that people adjust around you without you asking. And I know that sounds dramatic. But stay with me. Because I've lived both sides of this. The side where you wake up tired even after sleeping. Where your mood feels like it's at the mercy of texts that didn't come. Where your body feels heavy and your mind feels loud. Where attraction feels forced and attention feels inconsistent. And then the other side. The side where your body feels like it's working with you instead of against you. Where your emotions are steady but magnetic. Where your presence alone shifts the energy in a room. Where men don't ask what you want because they can feel it. And where life starts responding faster than you ever imagined. And this isn't about becoming someone else. It's about returning to the version of you that exists when your internal chemistry is mastered. Because hormones dictate confidence, desire, clarity, boundaries, attraction, patience, intuition, and even the tone of your voice. And when those hormones are dysregulated, you can read every dating book, watch every relationship video, repeat every affirmation, and still feel like something is off. But when they are aligned, even your silence communicates value. And 30 days might sound short, but the female body is incredibly responsive when you finally stop fighting it and start leading it. And I want you to imagine this with me for a second. Imagine waking up on day 30 and realizing you no longer react the same way. The text that used to send you spiraling barely moves you. The situation that used to trigger overthinking now feels neutral. Your body feels softer but stronger, calmer but more alive. And the most dangerous part, you don't need validation the way you used to. And that's when everything changes. Because desperation is hormonal. Anxiety is hormonal. People-pleasing is hormonal. And so is magnetism. So is self-respect. So is sensual confidence. And I learned this the hard way. Through heartbreaks that weren't about the men, but about my internal state. Through phases where I was doing everything right on paper, but felt disconnected from myself. And through the moment, I realized that becoming the ultimate prize wasn't about looks or tactics, or pretending to be unbothered. It was about internal regulation. Because the nervous system is the first seducer. And when yours is calm, regulated, and nourished, everyone feels it. And if you're already feeling that pull in your chest, that little voice saying, I need this, make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are on. Because this isn't a one-time pep talk. This is a recalibration. And by the end of this, I want you commenting the sentence you didn't even know you needed to hear. Because your awareness is the first activation. And awareness, when paired with action, becomes transformation. And this is the part where most women get it wrong. They try to control outcomes instead of controlling their internal environment. But power has always been an inside job. And hormonal mastery is how you reclaim it without force, without burnout, without pretending you're okay when you're not, and without betraying your softness to survive in a world that never taught women how to be both gentle and dominant at the same time. I remember the exact season of my life when I stopped feeling like I was auditioning for love and started feeling like love was auditioning for me. And it wasn't because I suddenly became colder or harder or less emotional. It was because my body felt safe. And when a woman's body feels safe, her standards rise without effort. Her boundaries become quiet but immovable. And her intuition sharpens to the point where she no longer needs reassurance. And safety is hormonal. That's the part nobody glamorizes. Safety is built through rhythm, nourishment, rest, consistency, and self-trust. Not chaos and adrenaline and emotional roller coasters disguised as passion. And if you've ever confused anxiety for chemistry, I see you. Because I did too. Until I realized that real attraction feels grounded, expansive, and calm in the body. Not tight, obsessive, or urgent. And the first phase of these 30 days is not about adding more. It's about subtracting what's dysregulating you. Late nights scrolling and comparing. Inconsistent meals that spike your blood sugar and crash your mood. Conversations that drain you. Situationships that keep your nervous system on edge. Because every time your body is stressed, your hormones shift into survival mode. And a woman in survival mode cannot feel like the prize. She feels like she's competing, proving, or waiting. And the moment I changed my routines, my mornings, my evenings, the way I spoke to myself, and the way I exited conversations that didn't feel clean, everything else followed. And I'm not saying you need a perfect life to feel powerful. I'm saying you need a regulated one. Because regulation is seductive. And here's the psychological part most people miss. Humans are drawn to what feels safe and certain. And a regulated woman feels like certainty. She's not chaotic. She's not hot and cold. She's not over-explaining. She's not chasing clarity. She is clarity. And that energy rewires how people treat you. I watched men who used to breadcrumb suddenly become attentive. Not because I demanded it, but because my energy no longer accepted inconsistency as exciting. And this is where philosophy meets physiology. Because as Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. And hormones are the bridge between the mind and the body. When they are balanced, your reactions soften, your patience increases, and your presence deepens. And suddenly, you're not performing femininity. You're embodying it. An embodiment is irresistible. And somewhere around the middle of these 30 days, something subtle happens. You stop forcing attraction and start allowing it. Your walk changes. Your eye contact lingers just long enough. Your voice drops half a tone. Not intentionally, but naturally. And people start opening up to you without you asking questions. Because regulated energy invites confession. And this is where I want you to pause and notice if you're feeling called out in the best way. Because if you are, it means your body recognizes the truth before your mind fully catches up. And that's your cue to stay, to listen, to apply, and yes, to tell me in the comments what's already shifting for you. Because women who speak their intentions out loud activate them faster. And I don't make the rules. Biology does. And by this point, you'll start noticing that you're less reactive in dating. You don't double text out of anxiety. You don't overanalyze silence. You let people show you who they are without trying to manage the outcome. And that's not detachment. That's sovereignty. Because when your hormones are aligned, your attachment style softens. And you no longer attach to potential. You respond to reality. And reality becomes very clear when you're calm enough to see it. By the final stretch of these 30 days, something almost luxurious settles into your system. A sense of inevitability. Like you know you're going to be okay no matter what happens. And that knowing is the ultimate glow up. Because confidence that depends on circumstances is fragile. But confidence that comes from internal harmony is unshakable. And this is where becoming the ultimate prize stops being a concept and starts being a lived experience. You don't announce it. You don't posture. You don't compete. You simply move differently. And people feel it. You start choosing from desire instead of fear. You say yes because you want to, not because you're afraid to miss out. And you say no without guilt because your body no longer associates boundaries with danger. And I want you to understand how rare that is. A woman whose nervous system is calm, whose hormones are supported, whose standards are embodied, not enforced, is unforgettable. She doesn't need to manipulate. She doesn't need to test. She doesn't need to play games. Because her consistency is the game changer. And when I say ultimate prize, I don't mean untouchable or distant. I mean self-sourced. A woman who enjoys her life so deeply that being part of it feels like an upgrade. Not an obligation. And that energy spills into everything. Your career focus sharpens. Your creativity returns. Your friendships feel lighter. Your boundaries feel loving instead of harsh. And the men who can meet you there rise, while the ones who can't quietly fall away. And that's not loss. That's alignment. And this is where I'll tell you the quiet truth. Not everyone will like the version of you who is hormonally regulated and emotionally sovereign. Because chaos benefits people who rely on your confusion. But peace benefits you. And peace is powerful. And if you've stayed with me this far, if something in you feels steadier just listening, that's not imagination. That's resonance. And resonance is the body saying yes. This is right. And I want you to anchor this moment by doing something simple but symbolic. Comment the sentence, "I choose regulation over chaos." Because what you choose repeatedly becomes your identity. And identities shape destinies. And if you're ready to keep building this version of yourself, the one who doesn't chase, doesn't force, doesn't beg, but attracts, receives, and decides, make sure you're subscribed and notifications are on. Because this channel is not about hype. It's about embodiment. And embodiment changes lives. And I'll leave you with this. The most powerful women in history were not the loudest or the most aggressive. They were the most internally aligned. And alignment is available to you. Starting now, starting today, starting with the decision to become the woman your future self already recognizes. Because once your hormones are mastered, you don't just feel better, you become undeniable. And that's not motivation. That's biology meeting intention. And if you felt this in your body, not just your mind, go ahead and say it out loud. I needed this. Because the woman who admits what she needs is already on her way to becoming everything she desires.